Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
And a few clouds rolling in for us this morning. I'll show you why we're not likely to see rain, and we could stay dry through the weekend.
Shutdown over. The federal government is back open this morning after President Trump signed a new spending bill into law. The process getting started now to get things back to normal.
Tuition debate. Today, leaders at NC State are considering a price hike for new students, while UNC Chapel Hill board members are dismissing a similar plan on their campus. In-state tuition for undergrad students have not increased in 8 years, and school leaders are going to be talking about that today and debating that. Good morning, everyone. It is 6 o'clock. We're glad you're with us on this Thursday. We're almost to the end of the week. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Chris Levengood. Yes, we'll be talking more about that because it could impact your college student. But we're also talking about the next weather maker because that could affect your weekend, Elizabeth.
We take a look at the big map, and you can see high pressure systems here. Two of them back to our west. High pressure systems typically keep us nice and dry, and that will be the case. But we do have a little disturbance that swung by, and it's sitting over us this morning with some cloud cover. We take a live look at our Garner Tower camera, and all the lights here are reflecting on the bottoms of the clouds. You can sort of tell that it's gray there. As the sun comes up, you'll be able to tell even better. But the clouds won't stick around all day. Our temperatures are in the mid-40s, so it's a bit warmer this morning than it was yesterday, but widespread temperatures in the 40s, except, interestingly enough, down in Clinton it is 38. But 47 in Rocky Mount and 43 in Roxborough, running about 5 to 10 degrees warmer right now than we were at this time yesterday. The afternoon highs will be similar in the mid-60s, but I'll show you what changes with our weather pattern to bring us 70s for the weekend and how close that could be to records, Ken.
Elizabeth, at 6:01, we're going to start outside, give you a live look at I-40 and Wade Avenue this morning. These are the eastbound lanes coming toward us into the Raleigh area, and this is what we're seeing in all of our major routes heading into the Raleigh-Wade County area, delay-free as far as the eyes can see, up and down all across our live traffic map this morning. Right now, you're just looking at a 1-minute delay if you're coming in from Nightdale. That's not going to make you late. You're getting ready to head into the car, though. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Ken, thank you. A live look at Capitol Hill right now as the federal government reopens after 43 days of being shut down, the longest in history. Last night, President Donald Trump signed a temporary spending bill that ended the shutdown. Now, the process of getting government services back to normal begins. Furloughed employees will be able to work. They'll be given back pay for the time they were out of work. The shutdown has certainly hit food banks hard as the demand has increased due to furloughs and the pausing of food benefits. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live at the Interfaith Food Shuttle in Raleigh. Kelsey, this recovery process is going to take some time.
Yes, Renee, it will. This morning, some folks may be just breathing a sigh of relief, but there's still a lot of questions that remain. Food here from the Interfaith Food Shuttle Farm was distributed in a high volume over the past few weeks to support people during the shutdown. The big question this morning is, when will SNAP benefits come back? The U.S. Department of Agriculture says funds will be available within 24 hours in most states. We're working to find out the timeline for North Carolina. More than 82,000 people receive these benefits in Wake County, according to county data. Food banks have had higher demand since the shutdown. The CEO of Interfaith Food Shuttle, Ron Pringle, says although the shutdown is over, people may still need extra support. He says it's difficult for food banks to plan ahead when there's so much uncertainty.
1 week, it's fear that the need is going to be, increasing drastically. And the next week is like, okay, things are leveling off, so it's really hard to build some long-term strategies when everything is just really feeling like you're on a roller coaster.
And Pringle says that they had a large influx of folks who were coming in that were furloughed federal workers. NBC News reports that the government does plan to offer back pay to those furloughed employees. It still is just unclear on when they will be able to receive that back pay and how quickly regular payments will resume. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Well, and despite the shutdown ending, the FAA says a 6% reduction in flights will stay in effect until further notice. However, the agency says it called off an increase in reductions set for the end of this week. Flights were reduced by 6% last week at 40 airports, and that led to delays and cancellations all across the country. The FAA says the current flight reductions in place will stay in place until the FAA believes normal operations can get going again. And for the people who have insurance through the Affordable Care Act, the reopening could mean their health insurance cost will more than double. The new spending bill does not guarantee an extension of expiring subsidies. In fact, a future vote on those subsidies was promised as part of a deal to end the shutdown. Democrats are vowing to keep fighting for lower costs, but the House Speaker says he wants reforms first.
And here in the WRAL Live Center, taking a look at stock futures after the government reopened. Right now, Dow Jones is up 15. The S&P 500 is down 5. NASDAQ down about 23 this morning. The Dow hit on its first record close yesterday, putting it on pace for its best weekly performance since June. But the shutdown caused investors really to fly blind without key economic reports like the October jobs report and inflation data. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says these reports may ultimately never be released. The market opens at 9:30. We'll see how the numbers look then.
Michelle, thank you. Federal lawmakers from our state issued statements after the House vote on the spending bill. Democrat Don Davis voted in favor of the bill. His statement read in part, "To support my constituents, alleviate the suffering of our families as the holidays approach, and bring vital resources to eastern North Carolina, I voted to reopen the government." Republican Greg Murphy also voted for the continuing resolution. In a statement, he placed the blame on Democrats. He said, quote, "No one should ever hold the federal government and the American people hostage over partisan demands. Too many individuals and families suffer during this period of selfish behavior."
Breaking news this morning, Durham police are investigating a shooting in the McDougal Terrace community. Officers responded just after midnight and found a man with life-threatening injuries. The WRAL breaking news tracker was there for hours as a forensics team gathered evidence, and WRAL is working to find out what led up to the shooting and the latest on that man's condition.
The Wake County Fire Marshal's office is set to return to the scene of an overnight fire today. The WRAL breaking news tracker was there for the aftermath around 2 a.m. This was on River Road near Knightdale. Down power lines created challenges for firefighters. Investigators say there was extensive damage to the home, carport, and an SUV. The Knightdale Battalion Chief says the person who lives there safely escaped.
Today, the NC State Board of Trustees will consider raising tuitions for new students. WRAL's Ali Kadlabar is live at NC State this morning. Ali, this discussion is happening one day after UNC Chapel Hill board members rejected a similar plan.
And today, NC State leaders will be discussing that plan that could increase tuition for incoming students by 3%. It is the same proposal that we saw UNC Chapel Hill board members shoot down yesterday. Now, this is video of board members deciding not to give their approval on that plan. Their proposed 3% increase would have amounted to $211 per student per year. Some board members say it's needed for deferred maintenance and rising utility costs. Others say the tuition increase isn't necessary.
I think the principle on in-state tuition needs to be you don't raise it unless you absolutely have to. And I don't see within our budget that we absolutely have to.
UNC Chapel Hill's full board of trustees is expected to vote against the tuition proposal today. And here at NC State, the board will be discussing this proposal. Now, it would amount to about $196 per incoming student per year if they decide to go ahead and vote on this plan. WRAL is going to be following this closely. Reporting live in Raleigh, Ali Kadlabar, WRAL News.
New this morning, 2 different fires are under investigation in Durham. The first one happened at an apartment building on Leadenham Street near West Murray Avenue and Broad Street. These photos were sent to us from the Durham Fire Department. We're told the fire department was able to get the fire under control within 10 minutes. There are no injuries, but firefighters say the Red Cross was called to help 6 people who were affected. The fire marshal is investigating.
And then, Renee, there was that house fire that displaced 2 people and killed 2 dogs in Durham. The WRAL breaking news tracker captured this video from that scene on Gorman Church Road just before 9:30 last night. And the fire was so severe, it required several fire departments to show up. The fire marshal is handling this investigation, and authorities say they have reached out to the Red Cross, but it's unclear on where these 2 residents are staying.
A 26-year-old burglary suspect is in the hospital this morning after a Raleigh homeowner shot him. This is a story we first brought to you as breaking news yesterday morning. Police say Christian Beasley was trying to break into this home on Rose Lane. That's when the couple who lived there saw him and shot him. We spoke with the couple who lives at the house. The homeowner told us he was in the bathroom getting ready for bed when he heard someone kick in his door.
Hit my gun and I was telling him to get down, or get out. Then he just ran to me.
If somebody breaking your home, you have to protect yourself, and that's what he did. He had to protect us. Like, we didn't know what he was going to do.
Raleigh police say Beasley will be charged with first-degree burglary once he's released from the hospital. Police also say the homeowner will not be facing any charges.
The NC State community is mourning the death of a professor this morning. Investigators say Natalia Duque Wilkins was killed this week after a truck hit her at the intersection of Pogue Street and Clark Avenue. Wilkins was a beloved and respected professor in NC State's Biological Sciences Department. The 19-year-old driver was Jack Etheridge. He's charged with misdemeanor death by motor vehicle.
It is 6:10 on your Thursday morning. Epstein vote. House Speaker Mike Johnson is facing calls to consider a resolution of the release of the DOJ files. The plans ahead as the government reopens.
And Border Patrol in North Carolina. Concerns are growing as agents prepare for an operation in Charlotte. What local leaders are doing ahead of time.
And our temperatures continue to warm as we get into the weekend. It looks perfect for getting outside. I'll show you how close to record highs we could be.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
6:14, we did have some clouds roll in overnight, but we're not seeing those affecting everyone. Not quite bright enough in Southern Pines to tell, but it looks like there's some cloud cover there. But looking at some sunshine in Clinton, Fayetteville looks like it's completely clear, and I believe we have some cloud cover in Durham. But we're just starting to see that sun brighten things up a little bit. The cloud cover may thicken up a little bit between now and lunchtime, 50 to 60% of the sky covered with clouds. But notice later in the afternoon, that really begins to dissipate a good bit. Heading out the door, not as cold as it was yesterday, about 5 to 10 degrees warmer, which puts us in the mid-40s and puts us pretty close to normal for this time of year. Heading out the door to walk the dog, though, mid-40s, probably, a jacket, a light coat. 65 will be our high temperature for this afternoon. We'll take a look at our potential for rain and the drought monitor that comes out later today. Ken?
Elizabeth, happening now. Traffic really beginning to pick up on this southern loop of the Beltline. I-40 Lake Wheeler Road. Those are the westbound lanes moving away from us this morning. And really and truly, even though as jammed up as that looks, no delays whatsoever on that southern loop of the Beltline. Similarly, we're not seeing any delays for those of you coming in from Garner, Johnston County between Highway 36 and the Beltline. Coming up, we'll take a look at some of the drive times and some of our other major routes heading into the Raleigh-Wake County area.
All right, sounds good, Ken. Thank you. With the federal government shutdown over, House Speaker Mike Johnson says he plans to put a resolution on the Epstein files. He plans to put it up for a vote next week. And this announcement was made after a petition on the measure reached 218 votes. Newly sworn in Democratic Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva was the tie-breaking signature, and her contribution forced a House vote on the release of all of the DOJ files. News of a vote also comes just hours after Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released private emails from Epstein. Those reportedly mention President Donald Trump. And if this resolution passes, it will head to the Senate, where it will likely fail. New this morning, civil rights leader Jesse Jackson is in the hospital. The 84-year-old is under observation for his neurodegenerative condition. The organization he founded says he is dealing with symptoms for more than a decade, in fact. The exact nature of his treatment, though, that's not known.
Local organizations and city leaders in Charlotte are preparing for possible immigration operations in the Queen City. A senior Homeland Security leader confirmed yesterday that Border Patrol would be headed to Charlotte. While the timeline is unclear, people are preparing for what may come. Patrick Garcia is the executive director of Embrace All Latino Votes in Charlotte. He says his organization was flooded with calls from families with school-age children. Garcia says the fears are even spreading to students who are U.S. citizens.
Also, these children, they listen from home, they listen from the news, they listen on social media. So for even an American citizen that is born from parents that are from another country, that creates a very huge burden mentally.
In a joint statement, state and local leaders are reassuring families that the local schools will be safe places for students. The statement says the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department does not enforce federal immigration law or ask about immigration status.
A data center developer is hearing from people concerned about a proposal for a new facility in Wake County. WRAL was at last night's community meeting in New Hill. It was hosted by Natelli Holdings, and the developer wants to build a nearly 200-acre data center on Sharon Harris Road. The meeting became tense at times as residents raised concerns about water usage, light pollution, even traffic. But one of the big issues brought up was sound.
The sound is mostly going to come from the backup generators and the cooling equipment. And I can't stress enough that the generators are not going to be running all the time. They're backup generators. They're going to be running during emergency only.
The developer tells WRAL they are still in the process of rezoning, and they will now have to go before the Planning Commission and then the Town Council, but that likely won't happen until next spring.
It is 6:18, and we've been enjoying seeing the pictures that you sent in of the Northern Lights, the second night in a row that we got to see such a spectacle, Elizabeth.
Such a treat again. This one's from Gary Royster of Henderson, and you can see that glow there just above the tree line. And of course, it wasn't quite as bright last night because the big mass of energy that came off the sun yesterday happened around the middle of the day, and it was weakening as we got through the afternoon. But definitely some folks were able to capture it. Don't forget, anytime you have anything you'd like to share with us, go to WRAL.com/report it. This one's nice and bright from Chelsea Chambers there in Rockingham. You can see the pretty stars and that glow in the sky. Speaking of glow in the sky, take a look at Franklinton. Definitely some cloud cover, but a nice hole in the clouds right there on the horizon, making for a really kind of neat, eerie view there. High pressure is going to keep things dry today, but look at the clouds that popped up just a few hours ago, and those are spreading across the area currently. Those clouds will weaken and dissipate as we get through the day. Of course, the chilly air has already started to moderate. That trough of low pressure with all that cold air is moving well away from us. So the coldest air is gone. We have a big weekend warm up in our forecast as high pressure builds back closer to us. It'll shift our wind to southwesterly and really bump up our temperatures. But heading out the door this morning, temperatures are mostly in the low to mid 40s. It's interesting. Look at this. Goldsboro's at 48 and it's 38 in Clinton. Our warming trend, though, does continue. 64 is our normal high. We'll be very close to that for today and tomorrow. And then that southwesterly flow kicks us up to 75 on Saturday and 77 on Sunday. This is a look, of course, at those big changes that we'll see. 67 for Friday, again, 75 Saturday, 77 on Sunday. So big warm up in our forecast. Of course, if you're headed to the Virginia game at Duke 3:30 on Saturday, temperatures are going to feel great, starting off in the mid 70s and then temperatures falling through the 60s during the game. Partly cloudy skies, but no rain. Now that sounds great for weekend plans. The drought monitor comes out a little bit later on this morning. Right now, we're still looking at abnormally dry conditions with a small pocket of severe drought in our area, but we don't have any rain in our forecast. And while, again, that will be great, we'll talk more about how that drought monitor could be changing. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth, happening right now. Let's start in this section of the northern loop of the Beltline, I-440 Glenwood Avenue. These are the westbound lanes coming toward us this morning. But traffic flowing nicely in all directions, which is really good news. As we widen out the view, give you a look at the entire loop of that northern loop of the Beltline from I-87 to the Beltline all the way over to Wade Avenue. Nothing but green showing up. So that's really good news this morning. We've got first responders working a crash right there in the Wake Forest area. It's right there in Wake Forest and Main Street. I'm going to keep an eye on it and let you know if it's going to affect your morning commute. But in Durham as well as Raleigh, no delays on any of those major routes at this hour.
Ken, thank you. Shopping deals. The holidays are coming up. That means getting your decorations ready. 5 on Your Side has a look at some of the weekend's best bargains.
And FEMA reforms. The calls from state leaders to help reduce risks from devastating storms. State leaders are calling for FEMA reforms, and they're also demanding stronger flood protections right here in North Carolina. That discussion was the focus of the Water Summit in Wilmington yesterday. North Carolina's top environmental official, Reed Wilson, shared updates on the state's flood resiliency blueprint. Now, this maps where the flooding is most likely to occur, and it's also meant to help communities prioritize projects that can limit damage before the next storm.
And we do know that these storms are more infrequent. They are more intense. So the question is, how do we prepare, adapt, and protect our communities? I think we all know the answer is to invest in resilience, reducing our risks before disaster strikes, and making sure that when disaster does strike, our communities are able to withstand that better and recover faster.
Right now, North Carolina ranks third in the nation for flood risks.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
It is all about the movies today.
Yeah, we got Ken Smith here now with What's Trending. What's up, Ken?
So let's start with superstar Adele, right? She is heading to the silver screen. The award-winning artist will make her acting debut in the upcoming movie Cry to Heaven, an adaptation of an Anne Rice novel. It is scheduled to be released next fall.
Yeah, it will be directed by Tom Ford. It will star Nicholas Hoult and Aaron Taylor Johnson. The movie is going to be set in 18th century Italy in the opera world. It's not clear what role she's going to play, but maybe they could have like a song or two with Adele,
opera
right?
world, Adele in it, probably going to be singing.
Connection, perhaps.
Looking forward to that. So, Pope Leo trending this morning. How about this? The pontiff sharing his all-time favorite movies ahead of a meeting with film industry leaders this weekend. His top 4 include It's a Wonderful Life and The Sound of Music. He also named Ordinary People, directed by Robert Redford, and the Italian film Life is Beautiful.
Yeah, he's also set to meet with Spike Lee and Kate Blanchett this weekend, so pretty big. I know his brother talked about he had seen Conclave. I think a lot of people wonder, have you seen that movie? It's kind of talk about the process that involved you getting to where you are, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, not in his favorite list, though, but he has one.
Good deal.
Thanks, Ken.
People in Raleigh should be on the lookout for a piece of mail that could get you $1,000. The Planning and Development Department is looking for 40 members for its Civil Assembly Group. This assembly will meet for 6 Saturdays in January and February. The goal is to give feedback on the future of Raleigh's public transit system. If you're selected, you'll be paid $1,000 for your service. Childcare translators and refreshments will be provided.
Your time right now is 6:26. Tuition debate today. NC State is deciding on a price hike for new students next fall. The debate over how much that could be.
And shutdown recovery. People across the country will still be feeling the effects for a while, despite the government now being back open. How people in our area are starting the process.
And cloudy in a few spots this morning, but the kids at the bus stop will not need their raincoat. At First Bell, 46 degrees and a mild low to mid 60s for this afternoon. I'll show you why we could climb into the 70s in the next few days.